brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking hosts, the good old boys. Suds. It's time for more Suds.
Welcome to this Suds episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. I'm one of your hosts here at the table for this fine gathering. This is good old boy Mike. Also joining me here is good old boy Dave.
Hey.
Oh, he speaks today. I like this. This
Wow.
is it's because he didn't have any time to prep. That's what happened. I love this.
This is a very rare occasion.
I had time. I just didn't have motivation.
Oh, I see that.
Ooh.
Wow. Somebody is still suffering from the effects of what happened this week. Also joining me is good old gal Julieanna.
Hi.
And Reverend Mark.
Hello.
We are the best thing on at 2 a.m., and we thank you for choosing us over the Canadian broadcast system's riveting exploits of the women of Winnipeg called the Bear Clan Patrol. This is a real thing. These women, fascinating radio, listening to pissed off Canadians, probably with their bad hair, walking around in the dark, being a nosy neighbor.
Wow.
Seriously, that's right.
To bring the hair
that's what
into
we're
it.
competing with, people. Seriously, you know, I want to smoke these people. So,
Wow.
yep, that's what I'm talking about. Well, our side segments are all about beer, and definitely more beer. But today, it's all about something a little bit on the twangy side.
Don't rock the jukebox. Wanna hear some Jones?
We are nearly back to ourselves from CBC, or the Craft Brewers Convention in Nashville, Tennessee. We all have had some time to recover, and recharge from this event. Today is our CBC wrap-up show for 2018. We've tasted a lot of beers, and we're going to cover some highlights of the convention itself. Hey, we want to give a big thanks to the Brewers Association, the Rosen Group in particular, the numerous invitations to private events, all during CBC, and our loved ones and spouses for tolerating our general lack of contact during CBC. I think I actually high-fived the missus like once all week. I think it was about as close as I came.
That's sad.
Yeah. I think Sparky actually had to re-enroll to get on a first-name basis with his missus once again. So, yeah. This is a lot more than just a week for him. It was more like a 4-month preparation activity, nonstop. So,
Yeah.
So we're going to cover our general thoughts on CBC, some general beers that got our attention and reactions to the World Beer Cup results that actually take place during CBC as well. So let's charge right into it. What did you guys think of CBC in general? Dave?
Well, I thought it was awesome. First off, I think it was a great thing for the city of Nashville to be able to host something like this.
Absolutely.
I think it helps solidify Nashville as an up-and-coming city and a beer town, too.
There you go.
I thought it was amazing, all the beers that came into town that we don't normally get. So, I mean, distributors were shipping in stuff from Scratch, Surly, Rheingeist, Half Acre, Ale. What is
Apothecary.
it? Yeah, that place too. Yeah.
Well, you know, the one thing that really takes its distinction with CBC is the brewers are the ones that attend this, and so this really turns into a bit of a, for lack of a better description, an ego contest, you know, with a lot of the brewers. So
brewers have egos?
They definitely do, for sure. Hit the bell, okay? Definitely, they have egos. What planet are we on? So, they actually love to bring their very best stuff. And, you know, you find that you're having these moments where you have these conversations. Hey, I brought this one special keg of this one thing that I talked about 3 months ago, and it's only available here at CBC. So a lot of the stuff that is in limited supply or frankly never even is available at the tap room or even package definitely comes out for CBC for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like the if you compare it to, you know, GBF's rare beer little thing on the side that they have in terms of you don't see but one keg of this ever in existence.
Yeah, for sure. And we saw quite a bit of. It wasn't even unicorn status. It was like ubercorn, because it was like there were beers that we had never even seen before that were on tap, you know, during this week. Yeah,
a lot of one-off things.
A lot of head nodding going around. Well, CBC is really tough to take in fully because the convention and all the events outside of the convention make for basically like a 12-hour grind every single day, back to back.
Yeah.
Nashville absolutely knocked it out of the park. Dave said it right on. It was great that the entire convention was actually in one place, one building, in the Music City Center. And this really made for a lot of easy navigation. CBC in some of the other cities, that's not been the case. It's been split across, different buildings, different venue. And I think that's made it a little bit frustrating, at times. I thought the exhibit floor was just kind of, okay.
Well, but, like, if you were a brewer or you were going to start a brewery, you'd have been, your jaw would have hit the floor.
I mean,
constantly, man. I mean,
I thought it was lots of repetition.
If you like big, shiny stuff, that was your place. I mean,
I was trying to get an extension on my Visa card. They just,
So you're saying that all those fittings and ball cocks and all the piping and tubing and
you must have gone to a different convention.
Okay, all right. Well, I thought there was lots of repetition. It was T-shirts, packaging, and stickers, and repeat about 100 times. Literally.
But I mean, like if you're a brewer, though, I mean that's your lifeblood. I mean, first off. You got to have
two of those things have nothing to do with brewing. Right
yeah,
there.
they do. T-shirts
and stickers have nothing to do with brewing.
Are you kidding me? Where do you think they make half their money in their tap room?
I guess so.
And then you got your hot liquor tank, your mash tun, and your boiling kettle. Okay, you're gonna always have that.
That's right. Hey, they had grain malters there. They had hop producers.
Hang on
there.
a second. I'm getting excited.
Yeah, they had water chemistry there. They had yeast companies. Put all that together.
Those people from Idaho came down just for that water quality kit. Buddy.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe they did.
That's right.
That's where all the beer excitement comes from.
I like how people who like to drink beer want to mock what all it takes to make beer.
I know.
Well, if I didn't know any better, I swear to God, I thought it was actually an apparel convention because there were just so many apparel companies on that exhibit floor. So,
well, yeah, true. I mean, a lot of decals, a lot of hats,
tap handles.
Tap handles.
Yes.
Glasses.
I felt tapped out.
There were not enough tin tacker manufacturers, though. That's what I collect, and I didn't see that many, and I was a little disappointed.
Oh, there's like four.
You should write a letter.
And no one was giving away free metal signs either. So
no way. Definitely not.
Well, sorry
Suds and
that.
Smokes is not really an industry show, and this is an industry convention. So I found it was a little different because we were kind of out of our element. And, instead of really talking about beer, we were learning about the number 3 Fetzer valve made in Canada and certified by the EU for pressurizing kegs to the conforming shipping pressure of 3.1 psi, and that could actually accommodate doing this in the opposite direction for Australia. So,
fascinating.
I'm telling you,
that's riveting.
Look,
yes, so to speak.
I did actually find a few seminars that. The few that I attended, I really did find them quite informative. And I found a couple of pretty common themes and topics that seem to be going through this. A lot of contention between the brewers and distributors. You would think that, they don't even want to hold each other's hand, even let alone even share space and breathe air with each other. I mean, it got pretty heated,
Wow.
in some of the seminars that I went to. Whole conversation about market expansion, which is a little bit of a theme, around that distribution, both, how it's controlled or not policed. Those were kind of the two recurring topics that I heard in a lot of different seminars, for sure. Anything else about the convention itself that you guys wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I sat in on a couple of seminars that I thought were not the distribution, brewing industry side of the question, but more how do you create, a customer base if you're like a startup company?
Apparently, you sell T-shirts.
Yeah.
merch, baby, merch.
It's all about the merch.
Well, I said it was about crafting the customer experience for people not like you. And it was pretty interesting.
I would just say not like Dave, personally.
Yeah. I was just thinking not like Mike. Those are my favorite people.
Wow.
And slide 42, here's a picture of Dave. Yeah. Slide 43, here's a picture of Dave not buying beer. Slide 44.
Wow, I don't think you'll ever see that slide.
Well, in certain circles, yeah.
Yeah.
But I learned a couple of important things, and one was that in my other life, I deal a lot with diversity concerns, but this particular seminar helped me to diversify my definition of diversity, in that beer diversity is very important in this world.
That's right.
Hang on a second. I need a drink to get my head wrapped around that. That sounds pretty Australian to me. And
because Reverend Mark learned that you can't just have your IPA and stout.
What just happened?
You have to have your chick beer. You got to have your beer for people who don't really like craft beer. Then you got to have your obligatory sour beer, then your kettle sour beer, right? And then you got to have a fruit beer, and then you probably have to have a cider and maybe an alcoholic seltzer.
Right. And even though all generalizations are not to be taken as universal, even this particular statement, it did ring true that as you bring or coax more women into the craft beer consuming end of things, that you have to have...
Just don't use the word lure.
A range.
Wow.
A range of options. Whereas with men, the range of options is still impressive, but you have to be able to tell them, these are our top three.
Yeah. Ladies like to make up their own mind. Isn't that right, lady?
Yes. Well,
are you saying you don't like to be lured?
Not by the likes of this crowd. No offense, but I totally could see that, because I think that as more women get involved in craft beer and are tasting craft beer, at least these are the people that I run into.
Women like to make informed decisions.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Not be lured.
No,
right. We're all part of that equation, educating people about beers and which ones are good and bad. And I don't think women are difficult to market to. They don't want to be convinced of something. They want to be informed about something and make a decision. Right. She's nodding her head.
Yeah, no,
not
totally.
with you, Dave, but with me.
Women are tricky.
Yeah, they're tricky, but I think they just and the thing is a lot of women don't know about different varieties of beer, whereas with the guys it's all about the popular thing, the whale. What can I have that's been on my top 10 or whatever. With women, it's taste. Is this something I'm really going to enjoy? What is this? I've never tried this before. Am I going to like it? Am I not? That sort of thing. But anyways, I could see the diversity-ness of that.
And then the generational approaches that millennials, market experts are saying, prefer pets over people. And so you need to have, a bar, a pub, that's
pet friendly.
That's pet friendly.
Oh, hang on a second. I got to get a barf bucket.
A pub for pugs.
I can't believe
Pretty
it.
much.
What's happening, people?
Well, okay.
Is this about beer or the dog?
No, but think about it. All the new breweries, or new-ish breweries that we have gone to in the last couple of years, how many of them are pet friendly?
Yeah, everybody.
I mean, that's a big thing.
It hasn't made the beer taste better, I can tell you that.
You should be able to bring whatever kind of pet you want. If you want to bring your cow to the brewery, your miniature
donkey,
Algerian cow.
Well, with that ding dong goes the bell, I think we'll move on here in just a minute. We'll take a quick break here, and we'll be right back talking about some of our favorite beers from CBC.
Rolling clouds and crashing surf, iridescent dunes reflecting by the light of a rising, glowing moon. Seashore mesmerizing, Night breeze hypnotizing, we've come across these back roads none too soon. Look to the left, to the right, keep your eyes on the road, my darling, wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows.
Hey, welcome back to Sip, Suds, and Smokes. On today's episode, we're actually going through our visit to CBC 2018, or the Craft Brewers Convention that was held in Nashville, Tennessee. We've had a chance to talk a little bit about the convention itself, and we want to get around to one of our favorite topics, which is, how about the beer, man? That's what I really want to get to. So each of us has taken the time to sit down and think about our top 3 beers that we had from this week. We already talked about such a large number of temporary contracts that were issued to bring in a lot of beer into the Nashville area for this. It was great to have so many things, both on tap, new packaged beer all over the place, and we really got a chance for a lot of these people locally in Nashville to get to enjoy some of these products for the very first time. So we thought we'd cover our top 3. Up first is Reverend Mark.
You going to force me to hold it to 3? Okay. All right.
Wait. She's limited to 3. You're fine. She's limited to 3, not 3.2, not 3.5. Not within my top 3 years. My 8 favorite beers.
Did you already forget the whole women want choices things? You're
no. I got to toe the line. There's a
see.
schedule here to keep. Reverend Mark, your top 3.
All right. Well, I have to say, first and foremost, my favorite beer was Blackberry Farms. Of all things, their Maibock. And they had a wonderful array of packaged and draft beer
I'm
as
over
well.
here nodding my head insistent.
Yeah.
So.
It was just amazing. I think partly because Travis Hickson, who is just a longtime friend and head brewer for Blackberry Farm, brought this to Nashville when he was at another brewery here in town. I always look forward to his Maibock, and I think that he delivered the goods and then some. It was very much a Munich malty, just tasty, dry type finish with just a little bit of sweetness that left you wanting a little bit more, another pint. But you've got to be careful. Stuff is really, really strong. But I wasn't driving, or was I? I don't remember.
that's a good sign.
What was that? It was a chick from Iowa. Just keep going. She's over CBC. Where's the beer?
Why's my car all scratched up?
Yeah.
But the Blackberry Farm and New Belgium had just an amazing scene event, a sharing at Nelson's Distillery, and that's the first thing I had, and it really made it, not the first thing like for the whole conference, but for that day. So kudos. The second one.
What was your Suds rating on the Maibock?
Oh, I'd give it a 5, a clear 5. Clear 5. I'll tell you my second favorite, which just kind of came out of the blue, and actually I don't think I even paid for this beer.
Oh.
I think I borrowed it from Dave over here, but I just took a straw and just
sounds a little shady.
Kind of drank it across the table. But it was the Coldwater Kolsch. And the reason I liked it was because it was
free.
It was free, and it was a little different than most Kolsch products, that in that it wasn't just a one-dimensional malt, not kind of light.
Was this a event down at City Tap?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that Kolsch was awesome. That was my favorite in that flight.
It might have been one of the best ones there.
I like that, yeah.
And it was freshly hopped and just hopped in the way that a Kolsch needs to be. So I thought, and I think it's right because we were kind of starting
it was a hazy
things
Kolsch.
out.
That's what was
yes.
it. Yeah, I remember that.
And it really let the hops kind of come out and really balance out with the malts. It was really good.
Okay, I'm not getting really. This is basic beer I'm talking about. My top 3, but I will mention a sour.
What
what's
did
your
you
Suds
rate?
rating?
Oh, my Suds rating, I give that a 4.
Okay.
Okay, on Sunday night, to kind of kick things off, the Music City Brewers had a special event at Suds with Chuck Skypeck, who had been at Bosco's many years ago. And so many people that got involved in the homebrew revolution here in town owe a whole lot to Bosco's and to Chuck. And so we actually put an event together to honor Chuck. And they brewed the Scottish ale that was his flagship ale, but it turned, I think, into a wee heavy. So it wasn't a perfect approximation.
Got a little heavy-handed.
Got a little heavy-handed. Yes, heavy-handed.
Just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit.
So bad. That's right.
But that led me. I realized I couldn't be quaffing that beer. So I said, "What else have you got here?" To Ken Redmond, and he poured me a Bohemian Pilsner, and I have to say, whoa, that's the best Bohemian Pilsner I have had in a long time.
Huh.
It was fantastic. So I will give that one a Suds rating of 4.
Wow.
Nice.
So a homebrew made your top 3, basically?
Well, it was brewed by Suds.
Okay.
So the Music City Brewers did not brew. This was a commercial beer.
Cool.
Real quick, because I have to get something sour in, I think one of my favorites also was the Blackberry Farm Barrel 18. It was an 18-month Brett Saison, year 2017.
Ooh,
wow.
Nice.
Amazing.
What would you rate that one?
5.
Wow.
All right.
Thank you, Reverend Mark. I'm going to charge in and talk about my top 3. We had one that was a duplicate. I cannot say enough good things about that Blackberry Farm Maibock. That was just an amazing beer all around. You know, the one thing that I really I've noticed that has happened twice now with them is that you can take a very classic style and really move it to a whole new level. I mean, the first time that I ran into Roy and he said, "I'm going to make a Saison," and I'm like, okay. And then he's like, "Well, I'm working with 40 different recipes. You want to try a few and let me know what you think?" I was like, so, I mean, he was really serious about taking that style to a whole new level. Yeah. And that's really how I felt about this Maibock, is that it really was a new gear for that style. And I love the fact that Travis and everyone else was really patient. I believe this is the first lager that they've actually put out commercially out of Blackberry Farm. And I really thought that it showed off a little bit of some flexibility that they have to create something that is not more of the same. And I just thought this was a huge opportunity for Travis to really put his thumbprint all over a beer coming out of Blackberry Farm. So it was amazing. It was easily my favorite beer of the week. My Suds rating for the Blackberry Farm Maibock is a 5. The next beer up is a beer that we've talked an awful lot about, beers that came from Scratch Brewing. We got a lot of folks that are just in love, enamored with a lot of things from Scratch. I really enjoyed the trip that I made there with a lot of our co-hosts this year. But I don't recall having this particular beer in the lineup, and it was available at one of the events this week. And it is the Wild Grapevine Wee Heavy from Scratch Brewing. It's really kind of unusual. I really thought that the one thing is that the grape overtone that was kind of on this. So many Scotch ales that I've run into are too sweet. And they really just head down, a path where it's just like a caramel bomb, that gets in the way, basically, of the rest of the beer. Everybody's kind of nodding their head. It's a very common thing that we... and it really kind of turns into, with all too many Scotch ales, a bit of a mess. This is exactly the opposite of that. I love all of the balance around this. I loved how it was a fairly squeaky clean beer, and all that muddled mess, all of that just was not present in this beer. Just really well put together. I think the one thing that I think everybody was kind of crushing on, it was just so cool to see Marika Josephson, who's the head brewer at Scratch, actually pour her beer while she was here on Tennessee soil. That was just, there were like a small crowd of 20 people as she was pouring the beer at a different event. And literally, I have a picture of her just pouring the beer. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. There weren't any of the Stein beers from Scratch that were available during CBC, unfortunately. But I have to say this Wee Heavy was really amazing. So for the Scratch Brewing Wild Grape Vine Wee Heavy, my Suds rating for that is going to be a 5. And this next beer, I think, is a duplicate of one you have on your list. Is that right? Who has the high wire?
Me.
All right. Well, let's talk about this one together then.
All right.
So we actually got to go over to another event, and it was actually the Belgian Beer Project at Black Abbey was the name of the event. And we walked in, but they had a couple of casks that were on there at the same time. And it was actually for another event, which was an all-cask event. They had 12 different cask beers that were available. And so this cask was just kind of sitting there, and there were only 2, and this one really caught our attention. It's from Highwire. It's called Hazy and Juicy and Hoppy and Fresh IPA. Those are all things. Those are words that I really love.
Yeah.
I like the word "and" quite a bit there.
Yeah,
a lot of thought in that one.
I mean, the first thing that caught my attention was definitely the aroma. How about you, Dave?
Yeah. Well, actually, the first thing that caught my attention was the color. It was hazy, but it looked like orange juice.
Oh, it looked gorgeous. Yeah,
beautiful, bright orange color, very hazy. But the aroma, it was absolute citrus. It was just all over the place,
and it was so creamy. And it was just emblematic of really how great cask beer can be.
Yeah,
we had tons of NEPA beer all week. I mean, I had at least 20, 30 different New England IPAs. And it was hazy and juicy and hoppy all over the place this week.
Yep.
And for any of those beers to really stand out, it had to be something that was just a bit extraordinary. And the fact that this cask beer really turned out as good as it did, it really says an awful lot to stand, with so much competition, around them that week.
Well, I think the fact that it was on cask was a big reason why it stood out too, because doing a beer on cask versus pushing it out with CO2 is vastly different. It impacts flavor, mouthfeel, even the aroma. And it really impacts every aspect of the beer. And it gave it, those NEPAs, they usually have like a creamier mouthfeel than a lot of other IPAs anyways. But adding the extra component of, carving it in the cask plus pushing it out with just oxygen, letting it come out was amazing, and it just added to that creamy mouthfeel, and it really made it a lot juicier, sweeter. It just enhanced the whole thing.
Well, so I think the lesson learned here is, listen, if you're making something that falls in this, pull off a couple of kegs and commit to a cask version of that, even if it's available in your tap room.
Yeah,
I really think you'll find the differentiating component of maybe just those one or two, corny kegs. You wouldn't drop it in a cask. Really could be an amazing experience.
To serve it side by side.
Yeah,
with
I agree.
Normally,
I think that would be interesting. Well, we liked it so much we actually kicked that cask, so there wasn't any more available. And
sorry, everybody.
There are a lot more collaborations coming down between Highwire and Black Abbey Brewing.
Oh,
and,
cool.
So I'm hoping they come back around and revisit this one. If not, I'm going to call Carl and I'll put in a special request saying, "Hey, next keg or next cask, just for us." Okay,
there you go.
So. Yeah. Well, my Suds rating for the Highwire Hazy and Juicy and Hoppy and Fresh IPA is actually a 5.
Mine too.
How about that? Great beer.
We agreed. Yay! All right.
That's all of mine. Let's get to Julieanna's here. Her 2 beers. Negotiating. I like how I negotiate on the fly there.
No, sorry. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Up to 7.
So I have topics.
And we're going to break.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So the first topic was collaborations, and there was a ton of collaborations at CBC. I mean, everywhere you went.
Very
Every
true.
event.
It was all about what we did together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I thought that was kind of cool. And a couple of standouts for me on that vein was the Tiki Time, which was a collaboration between Creature Comforts and Bearded Iris and Pine House Pizza, which actually won a couple awards, I think, at World Beer Cup, and YCH Hops. Just an absolutely interesting, cool, out of the ordinary beer. That coconut hop, which was an experimental variety, I thought was completely insanely cool. And I gave that a 5. And then the other collaboration that I really enjoyed was the Jester King Scratch collaboration called Abscission, using juniper and sassafras. And I thought it was the best of both worlds because Jester King is known for their yeast strain, being so special in all of their beers, and then Scratch is known for all of their indigenous ingredients that they use. That combination I thought just was absolutely stunning. I mean, the juniper and the sassafras was so scratchy to me, and the yeast just paired so well with it. It was absolutely stunning. That one's a 5 as well. And the second thing I wanted to talk about was these breweries from New York that I'm just really jazzed about. Finback and Interboro.
Oh, yeah.
They made some really nice NEPAs.
Those NEPAs we
brought.
had were really good. And that almost made my short list as well. So, great event we went to at our friends at Southern Grist. And what was the name of what was the one you were going to name? They had like 3 there.
Well, the one from Finback was Freshly. The one from Interboro was Mad Fat Fluid. And
Did you say back fat?
Mad Fat.
Oh, that's better. Okay.
Yeah.
Never name a beer back fat fluid.
Ew.
Ever.
Well, and what I thought was really, that's gross. I'm trying to avoid it, but that's gross.
I have this guy Latvia in my head going, what do you mean? We cannot call beer back fat. I don't know why this is a problem.
Yeah. And what I thought was really cool is that we had just come back from a trip to New England ourselves, so we had all of these like amazing NEPAs that we had over the course of a week. So, I mean, we were fresh on that.
Definitely.
But yet these
like
two...
a whole different gear.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but these two were NEPA, but yet had their own twist on it. And I thought that was so cool to be able to stand out like they are with these newer, younger breweries. Both of them I thought were just absolutely stunning, and those were 4s for me.
Yeah. Great beers.
Yeah.
That was a good event, and a lot of great beers that you mentioned there.
Yeah. And then the last one that I wanted to talk about is from Virginia. It's Aslin. It's the Triple Orange Starfish. And I had to wait in line for a while because they had issues with the keg, but I'm so happy that I waited. The thing was absolutely outstandingly yummy. And this is a smaller brewery from Virginia that I never heard of before. And we're going to Virginia in August, so I can't wait to go and visit them. And another great NEPA beer, and very distinctive, and that one I gave a 5 as well. And I'm done now.
Wow, she only did 5 beers. It's because you kept her under control, Mike.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that vote of confidence. Hey, we're going to take another quick break right here, and then we're going to come back. We're going to hear some of Dave's beers, as well as talk about the World Beer competition as well. We'll be right back in just 1 minute.
But baby, the whole elation riding down this lover's avenue, as slow as the willow blows, or as fast as the world wind grows, we glide beneath the stars in cobalt blue. Look to the left, to the right, keep your eyes on the road, my darling, wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows, my and is yours forever, sweet love. Our eyes ahead on these back roads with a view.
Hey, welcome back to Sips, Suds, and Smokes. This is good old boy Mike, and on today's episode, we're actually going through a discussion about the CBC 18, which is the Craft Brewers Convention in Nashville, Tennessee. We're going around talking about some of the beer we had this week, and up next is Dave to talk about his top 3.
Cool. So we already discussed the one that I think was the best beer I had, which was the High Wire
Really
Nipa
great.
on cask. That was far and away. Now, not to short out any of the other great beers I had. One of the other ones was the Lemongrass and Thai Basil Pale Ale from Scratch Brewing. Really different take. You know, every beer from Scratch is a different take on whatever style of beer it is because it's them. Citrusy, light, herbal, refreshing, really cool beer. And it actually was a nice palate cleanse from some of the other stuff I was drinking that day.
This is me over here nodding my head. Yeah.
Really solid beer. I would give that one a 4.
I had that one as well. And I think the thing I really loved about that beer was the basil was not shy.
Yeah.
How many beers have we had that had some basil in the name or something like that, and you're like, where's the basil?
Yeah.
You know, some wit beer or some other wheat concoction or a pale ale, and they drop, basil in it somehow, and you're just standing there kind of going, where's that?
I think it must be a very volatile flavor that fades out quickly.
I'm thinking a little bit more like cucumber, where the aroma is such a major, component of enjoying basil.
And it just gets lost.
Yeah. And those other people, they may have been using either an extract or something else and just, it faded away and never really had the aroma component, to begin with.
Yeah.
I know that people at Scratch probably used the real deal for sure. And it definitely came through. And I thought that was the star of that particular beer for sure.
Yep. The second beer I would list would be Cherry Berry from Barrel Culture Brewers and Blenders. I think that's what they're called. They're in California.
I skipped this beer. I wonder why.
Oh, because it's fun and nice.
Fireworks.
So this was an American wild beer. I mean, it was like dark purple, looked like purple drink. Very tart. The berries and the cherries like really came out strong. Not for everybody, but I thought it was a really cool beer, and it was at the Southern Grist thing too, and so it was like almost all like IPAs and New England IPAs across the board, and then in very hoppy beers, and then to get something like this, which was a nice kind of break from that, was a really cool thing. So I really enjoyed it. I would give that one a 4 as well.
Wow.
So the last thing I'm going to talk about is kind of a twofer. So Julieanna and I went to Kuchny and Keller, and we were there to try some Paradox beers, which we've had before. They were both phenomenal, but we took the opportunity to have a couple of Creeks or cherry beers, one from Cantillon and one from Bone. Both were amazing. They were completely different. We actually had them side by side. And the one from Cantillon, Brasserie Cantillon, was actually very light, very delicate, very floral. The cherry was definitely there, but it was just so, I don't know, what would you say?
A refined cherry.
A refined cherry. Then the other one from Brewery Bone, however you say it, was actually much more in your face. It was like if one was a female, sort of kind of more delicate and everything, like that'd be the Cantillon, and then the Bone was the male, sort of like bold and and it was even a deeper, darker color, and the cherry was very tart. And you said you even got a little bit of balsamic vinegar kind of going on. There was definitely an acidity in that one that was not as present in the Cantillon. So having those two side by side, like two Belgian masters of lambic, was like incredibly. It was like an amazing, one of a kind experience. And we were actually looking at Frank Bone through the window He was surrounded by hipsters, so we couldn't get to him. But just having those two together was a really cool experience. It's something you don't get every day in Nashville.
Well, I think there were a lot of those moments, especially with beer, as well as, a lot of the brewers being present, all week. And I can't begin to tell you how many times I almost had to kind of check myself up as I was, sipping some beer, because people kept on staring at us going, I wonder what they think, and I would just be approached, out of the blue, by, a brewer, going, hey, what do you think of the beer, And
oh, wait 1 second. I just want to give those two each a 5.
Oh, sorry. Are you giving my comment a 5 or the beer a 5? I'm not really quite sure.
We don't have a number low enough for your comments.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that.
Wow.
But, that was a very common thing that I noticed that was happening as we were, kind of tasting beers around town, where people seemed to be rather inquisitive about what we thought about certain beers, and I ended up having these very unique conversations coming out of nowhere. So there were a couple of other events that happened that, if you're following our Twitter feed, we had almost 180 different tasting notes that flew out on our Twitter feed. That is not even half of the beers that we drank this week. So there was a whole lineup from an entire festival called the Funk Fest that actually opened up CBC on Sunday, and there's a short list of those beers that got posted out there. Definitely check those out as well. So if we didn't talk about your beer, I'm sorry, but there was just a short list, and there were lots of other great beers that we did talk about on our Twitter feed. Well, the last topic I wanted to swing around was actually talking about the World Beer Cup. So this is a slightly different competition that is held as part of the CBC. So the GABF has their own competition that happens every year, and those follow one set of guidelines and judging rules. And the World Beer Cup that takes place here during CBC has some slightly different judging criteria, as well as entry requirements and stuff. So they're not quite the same. And I would definitely say the judging panel for the World Beer Cup definitely has a lot more international flair to it. I met a lot of German judges that were sitting for. A lot more brewers sat and judged for this as well. We had a ton of friends working at the World Beer Cup, with actually none of us judging for this event this year. I'm so glad, because there's no way that you could just sit and judge and do everything else. It's impossible. There are a few things that got my attention anyway off the list. I thought that I'd mention one of these, and then we'll gather some of our own notes as well. Fat Bottom, as we actually had the Wallflower Saison right here, right before it got released. Sparky brought it by, and we got to check it out, and it did really well. And actually, Fat Bottom also got another medal for the beerness.
It was a really good beer.
So both of those are really great beers, and things that we get a chance to have all the time. What else caught your attention on the World Beer Cup?
Well, Pabst Blue Ribbon won.
There you go.
Got a silver.
That's a world-class beer.
American Lager and Cream Ale. Actually, Old Style beat it out, though, for the gold.
I saw that, yeah.
So there you go. That's your World Cup right there, buddy.
That's some cup.
Yeah. No, actually, PBR, as long as it's not your first beer, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
If you get about 4 in, then you pop open a PBR, you're good to go.
I can't do PBR anymore.
Yeah. Well, I talked to a brewer friend who was judging the Pilsners, and it was him and then about 7 Germans.
There you go.
And so I think whoever came out,
that's cool.
That if it was PBR, then maybe they're doing Pilsner right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's Germans that just really don't have good cable TV choices, personally.
Ooh, that's awful.
I have had tuna, the American Pale Ale from Half Acre Beers, and I think that won a bronze in the session ales, and it's a good pale ale.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. Any other beers catch your attention?
Well, for me, I'm proud of my home state.
Of course.
Yes,
She's
because
never had it. It just says PA on it. So.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
But of course.
No. Actually, and you've had one of them too.
Okay, all right.
As a
Who is
matter
it?
of fact.
Mr. Sassy Pants.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. For those of you that don't know, I am from the fine state of Pennsylvania.
Oh, they all know.
Whatever. Free Will. Ollie.
Oh, yeah.
Took silver. See? So that's beer number 1 that you've had. So there's that.
Hey,
Yeah.
be sure and check out our Free Will episode, which is actually coming up really, really soon. So,
that one almost killed me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then number 2, Weyerbacher took gold for their Reserva.
Huh.
Yeah.
How about that?
How about that?
I do. I love that beer. Yeah.
Pennsylvania Brewing. I don't know who does Penn Gold. They won too.
Yeah,
They
Penn
won
Gold did.
Yeah.
And
the
then,
Reserva is the raspberry, right?
Yes,
Pretty sure.
yes,
That's
yes.
good. That's Mike's favorite.
Right.
Yeah.
Please send us all your raspberry beers. Mike would love it.
Oh man. Devil's Backbone. Actually, I believe they took 2 awards. One for their alt beer, and then one for their Danzig, the Baltic Porter, that I've had a few times. That's really good. And then the other one from Pennsylvania, is it Neshaminy Creek?
They won.
Yeah. I believe they did for one of theirs.
Iron
and-
Hill won.
Yeah, Iron Hill took an award too. That's another Pennsylvania brewery. Well, actually, they might consider themselves New Jersey at the moment.
Oh,
but
no one considers himself new. Not if they have a choice.
whatever, dude. Whatever.
Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Pennsylvania, New Jersey.
Yeah, but
Which side of the Potomac am I on?
and then Griffin Claw took silver for their Oblivious, which we've had that
It's a
before,
good
which
beer.
was really good.
It's
yeah,
a big old beer.
it is.
It's a wheat wine.
No surprise, Firestone Walker took gold for their Stevo.
And the DBA, by
And
the
the
way.
DBA?
That
Okay.
caught my attention as well. Yeah.
And the Creaky
so,
Bones.
So they got
Yeah.
3. Wow.
Creaky
Yeah.
Bones.
Slick. Huh.
Yeah.
All great beers. Yeah, we've had all those as well. Really one for the Pivo Pills. That's great. So,
Yeah. And I think that's all. Oh, Ballast Point took bronze for their porter.
yeah, I saw that as well.
So there you go.
It was so the one thing that kind of struck me as I was reading down the list is how many breweries that got medals. I'd never even heard of the breweries, let alone beer.
I know.
It
And-
tells me they all need to send us some beer.
Yeah, that's for sure. We need to become a lot more familiar with quite a few of these beers. And the thing is that's not really unusual for the World Beer Cup. You know, it's definitely not a Me Too list from GABF. You actually see a lot of things very unique that are part of the World Beer Cup. So
It's very interesting how they do the styles, how it's broken out the categories.
yeah.
So it's very different.
Very different than BJCP, style guidelines. And the one category that I really can't wait to scoop back around is who won the American IPA. So Revision IPA from Revision Brewing is who took home the gold for the American IPA. This is probably one of the toughest categories, to win, because there's just so many people clamoring for that particular. It's an incredibly popular style, and so that's the reason why there are so many people entering it, because it is a very popular style with many consumers. The strange thing is Revision is in Nevada, and I do not think of Nevada as like the beer mecca, of the world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just I've really seen what fits, Epic has had and trying to distribute, around the state, out of the state, and really having to navigate a lot of just really screwed up, liquor laws, in Utah. It's just not in Utah, but in Nevada. I'm sorry. So I think it's. I think I'm interplaying the two, because actually Epic is in Utah.
Yeah.
They're not in Nevada. Right. I knew I'd
It's
screw
a
that
beer
up.
show, folks. It
Yep.
happens, okay?
It happens.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm still looking forward to trying their Vision IPA. It's actually distributed in Georgia. So our good friends at Hop City, who I spent a lot of time with here, we're going to probably drift down there and say, hey, I bet you got some of that on the shelf. We really do want to check that gold mineral winner out for sure.
right.
Maybe let's drop a case to us. That'll work too.
Oh, and I got a correction. It's not Neshaminy Creek. It was Conshohocken. They
call
took.
me?
Gesundheit.
No, stop. Sadly, I get those two confused.
Me
Really?
too.
I
I'm
know.
sorry.
I
Everybody
know.
that thought they were confused,
The
raise your hand,
two
Dave.
unpronounceable words, you get those confused.
Whatever. It's Pennsylvania. Leave me alone.
I think this is what happens when we let the Canadians influence us. That's
Actually, it's Indians.
it. Right, yeah. Right.
Yeah. Anyways, Conshohocken took silver for their Puddler's Row ESB. And actually, I want to say that this is their second time winning.
Well, that's...
Yeah.
Way to go, Conshohocken.
And interestingly enough, Melvin took an award for... You would think they would have taken an award for their IPA.
That fresh hop IPA is all the way.
Except they took gold for their cherry bomb.
Oh my gosh.
Cherry bomb.
Unbelievable. And I got no Melvin all week, by the way. I actually showed up and all that had kicked all over the place. It seemed like I never even got a drop.
It goes fast, man. Everybody wants some Melvin.
There was one other that caught my attention, which was the you mentioned Frank Bone, and he actually took home an award for the Gouset, the Oud Gouset VAT 108.
Such a beautiful beer.
It is, and we actually talked about that beer. You guys got to have it at the Beer Blogger Conference, and I think it was really great that both that he won, but he was actually here to pick up an award as well. So
he's a good guy.
And oddly, Keaton was not in the World Beer Cup Awards. So
go figure.
Yeah, there was not one single World Cup.
I hope it
World
doesn't
Beer
hurt
Cup.
their sales.
Yeah, me too.
Well, but then again, do we even know if they entered anything?
Reverend Mark, were there anything that caught your attention?
Well, I did want to mention the fact that one of my favorites up in Colorado Way, Funkworks, took a gold with the Old Bruin.
I saw that,
Yeah.
and I've never had that Oud Bruin before, so I look forward to checking that out. We've had a lot of great beer from Funkworks, but
And I also noticed that the Nashville beer company, Nashville Brewing, took was a silver in the Nashville lager, so that was interesting.
I know.
That was very interesting.
we know where that's made. I don't know about that. Way to kill it, Ken and Chase. So
You get what you get, man.
yeah. So, anything else?
Well, I just mentioned a minute ago, I thought the Creaky Bones from Firestone Walker was just amazing. I was at Firestone Walker a little less than a year ago, and that was just one of the most phenomenal of all their phenomenal beers that I had there fresh off tap. So anyway, like that a lot.
Very cool.
Well, big congrats out to all the winners for this year's World Beer Cup, and be sure and check out the results online of all the categories and all the winners. There might be one in your very backyard that you've
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see y'all next time.